Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to Comic Club. My name is Scott, and today we're going through Chapter 5, Issue 5 of Once and Future, Volume 1, The King is Undead. What happened last time? It was quite gripping last time. What happened was we saw a lot of relationship building between Duncan and Bridget, and Duncan and Rose, and Bridget and Rose, and you saw a lot of story development, a lot of things that can push the story forward. So, for instance, probably one of the biggest plot twists we've seen so far, and a bit more depth into Bridget's history, is the fact that somehow she managed to get his middle name to be called Percy, which is short for Percival, which plays a part in being the innocent knight of getting the Holy Grail or stopping the Holy Grail. That's pretty much the biggest part that happened. So we had, obviously some more altercations with King Arthur, some more fights with that. Rose became more skeptical of Bridget's history and how come she knows all of this stuff that she knows, and the fact that Galahad went through the door portal that the Fisher King opened up for him, and he is now at the castle of where the Holy Grail is stored, and he deems it as his destiny, Galahad. So it seems that Duncan has more of a role in this whole thing, apart from just being roped in by his grandmother. It seems like she actually knew what she was doing the whole time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this goes. So how it ended was the Fisher King, this old man who seems to be part of the family in a way, blows his brains out with a gun pretty much, and that stops Duncan from getting through the door to follow Galahad to the castle where the Grail is. So it looks like what I think is going to happen is that somehow they're going to find another way to this castle. Obviously, they're going to be a bit traumatized. I'm hoping the issue starts straight away from this kind of graphic suicidal scene. And hopefully they'll get past it and they'll find a way to stop Galahad from getting the Grail. So here we go, Chapter 5. And we're going to start reading it now. If you've got this book and you haven't read it yet, do make sure to read along. Pause this video, read it with me, and then afterwards carry on the video and see if you agree with me. If you don't agree with me, if you do agree with me, let me know in the comments, and we'll talk about it. So here we go, Chapter 5, Issue 5 of Once and Future. Really great issue overall. I mean, I know I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but this book is fantastic. Every issue, start to finish, and I'm just loving it. It's, in a way, I wish I wasn't doing this weekly, because I would read this all in one go. Read it from start to finish, issue to issue, cover to cover, and then I'd have to wait 6 months for the next one to come out, because the next Volume 2 I don't think is coming out until December, unfortunately. But this, I am absolutely loving it. The whole Arthurian theme to everything is fantastic, and probably one of my favourite books I've read in a long, long time. It feels original whilst taking references from other old stories, like all the Arthurian myth, putting its own twist on it, adding some characters that we fall in love with straight away, and it's just brilliant. So let's go ahead and take a look at what happened. So, like I was hoping, it started off straight away with the Fisher King who had died, and then it opens up straight away with Duncan basically getting Bridget to tell the story. Why are we here? What's going on? And it turned out that like everything ended in 1988. They managed to stop all this, and they wanted to just keep it quiet. It turns out that Bridget and the Fisher King were husband and wife, and the plot twist where I was like, what? Is the fact that the antagonist woman named Elaine, her name used to be Mary. She is the daughter of Bridget and the Kingfisher, and the mother of Duncan, which means that Galahad and Duncan are brothers. So there's the kind of family tree thing there, and I think that's, when I read that, I think some people might have been able to predict it, but myself, I didn't see it coming, and bit shocked, bit blown away, really happy with that, and it adds another layer of complexity, of emotions to the story when these characters do have, do interact with each other and do like have fights and arguments and just interactions, and I think it's going to be really good in the future. So it turns out that Bridget did know a way of getting Duncan through that door into the castle of the Holy Grail, and but unfortunately it was a way of she had to get Duncan to admit that because she had raised him, Duncan saw her as a father figure, and he had to admit that, and as soon as he did admit that, she shot herself in the chest, and as she's starting to die, this door opens up because she shot herself, and he goes through. He's not happy about it at all. She gives him a note before he goes through, and he begrudgingly, angrily goes through this door with the knowledge that he can kind of get the Grail, stop Galahad, and Bridget also tells him that if she drinks from the Grail, he can heal her, and she'll come, and she won't be dying anymore. So that's his motivation. That's why he's going, and so he goes through and he reads the note. And it wasn't like a love health, heart to heart note. It was basically in slight instructions as to what not to do when he gets to this castle. So the first part is don't wake the dragon. Good note. Second one is don't fall asleep in the room that shoots you with magic arrows. And even though he's going through all this stuff, he does kind of have a bit of a comedic side to him, and he says, I honestly didn't need to be told that one, because as he's reading that part, he's walking through the room where a skeleton is lying in a bed covered in arrows. And then another one, the third one then was don't free the maiden from the eternally boiling cauldron. And she's there, all you see is hands coming out of the cauldron being like, join me. So that was quite cool. And then it just says, then get to the Grail procession, snag the bloody Grail, and get the hell out of there. So that's what he's trying to do. And he manages to find Galahad, and he's he's with 5, they look like spirits, like ghosts. And they appear to be helping him out, bringing in the Grail. And there's a woman at the back. She's holding a big Grail. It's like a fruit bowl with a stand, and it's just full to the brim with blood. So it seems to be that Galahad is waiting for this to be walked over to him, and Percival Duncan is now taking aim with a gun, and he goes, no, I'm a perfect knight, I shouldn't be shooting anyone in the back. And then as he says that, one of the knights, they find him, they have a little bit of a fight, and the woman who's standing at the back with the Grail, she goes, knight, with whom do you stand? And he goes, I march with Galahad. And then as soon as he says that was a mistake, because this knight was Gawain, and originally this knight should be marching with Duncan, with Percival, instead of Galahad, and so for that he gets immediately destroyed. It looks like just lightning surges through him. I'm going to put this page in the arty part, and he just kind of just explodes and that's the end of Gawain. And then we go ahead. There's a fight then with Duncan and Galahad. A bit of a fisty fight, and you kind of see Galahad's crazy side come through. Just very, his eyes are just wide open, bit mad, and he's just kind of lost the plot a bit. And Duncan takes advantage of this, manages to give him one right hook, takes the Grail, and starts to run. The panel here where he's running is kind of very, very like wide shot of him running with the Grail, blood spilling everywhere, and he runs through the door. I'm going to put that panel in the arty part as well. And he comes back with the Grail, and he's like, I've got the Grail, I've got a Grail. And straight away, as soon as he runs through from the other world to the main world, the Grail just kind of evaporates in his hands. And Bridget is like, I'm sorry, that was one more little white lie. The Grail can't exist in the real world. It disappears, and that will now stop Galahad, because Galahad doesn't have a Fisher King to let him through the door, doesn't have the Grail to give to King Arthur, but he'll probably have some sort of escape plan to get back into the real world to join Elaine and King Arthur. But so it looks like Bridget's giving up and she's ready to die and she's sorry, but Duncan's not having any of it. So he tells, in this part he's looking very, very thoughtful, and he's looking a lot less clumsy than he has in the last few issues, a lot more brave and just willing to do everything. I think he's really taken over the character of Percival, the brave, the innocent, the pure knight that Percival was. So he gets Rose to drive the three of them back to Bath, and again, the detail in this is uncanny. It is spot on. I know exactly where this is in Bath, and I think that's really good with the drawing and the colouring of it all, and it's fantastic. But Duncan takes Bridget to the Roman baths because a few issues ago Bridget said that it was healing waters. So they take him there. They take Bridget there, and they go into the baths. And Percival is now speaking into the baths because it's used to be the ladies of the lake live in these baths. So he says, I am Percival, a knight on a quest. I need to retrieve a scabbard of healing for my liege, and his liege being Bridget. And he says, I am unworthy and unarmed, but I need your assistance, ladies, please. And then he waits a second, and then all of a sudden you get an eerie voice coming from the bath, from the lake, and it says, we hear you, knight. We will lend you our arms, and lend you your arms, and they say that Excalibur is yours. So three hands come up out of this bath, holding Excalibur. It's got blood all over it from the hand that's holding it. She's holding it by the sharp end, and that's how it ends. And that was really cool. But now we're going to go into some reviews. Story. The story of that was awesome. It was chock-a-block from start to finish. Really busy. We get a lot of history from Bridget. We don't get a lot from Rose this issue. She's just she's in a lot of the panels, but she's just seems to be in the background there, just taking in what's happening. But overall, with Bridget shooting herself to get Duncan through, to Duncan finding the Grail, to fighting Galahad, to taking the Grail back, to then taking Bridget to Bath to heal her, to then speaking to the ladies of the lake, to then getting Excalibur. A lot happens. Really liked it. Give that a 9 out of 10. Art, again, really good. There are some really detailed parts, and everything seemed to be quite fast-paced in this, apart from the start where Bridget was talking about her history. But again, like in issue 2, we've just got this blank space. I don't know why they just couldn't get this panel and just stretch it down, just fill that space. But who knows why. But yeah, I love the art. They have a lot of real world stuff and a lot of other world art in here. And again, we're seeing more supernatural characters, and the way they've been detailed is great. The huge panel where Gawain is destroyed, very good. I like that a lot. I will be showing that in the arty part. And the fight between Galahad and Duncan, it's quite short, but the panels are quite erratic, and it's a really good way of portraying that scene. It's quite quick, it's to the point, and he runs off, brings it back, brings the Grail back to Bridget, and then it gets more serious when the Grail evaporates. I'll put that in the arty part as well, and there's just a lot of emotion. Everything is just fantastically conveyed. Everything is so much detail in everything. I want to give that a 9.5. Really enjoyed that. And then overall development, like I said, we get a lot of history from Bridget, so that's kind of what I've been hoping for over the last 5 issues. More history, why Bridget is like this, why she knows all of this. And when it comes to the note that she leaves saying, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, it kind of lets you know that she already knows about it. Has she done this before? Is the skeleton in the bed someone that she knows? Did she free the maiden from the eternal boiling cauldron, or was someone that she knows, someone that she knew, did they free the maiden? This is all stuff that we hope that we're going to find out in the future. And I think the fact that we now know that Galahad and Duncan are like half brothers, I think that's really good, and it's gonna have a lot more depth. It's gonna add a lot more depth to the story overall, and they're so different. They're on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Galahad is like hell bent on power and just wants to rule everything and be the guy that rules the world, saves the world. He becomes the hero, and then Duncan is he's very neutral, down to earth, nice, innocent, pure, wants to do the right thing no matter what it is. And you kind of see that a lot, and especially when he doesn't give up on letting Bridget die by taking her to Bath and attempting and getting Excalibur. So development, it's getting a 9 from me. So we got story 9, art 9.5, and development 9 out of 10. So that's it for all of that. Now we're going to move on to the arty part. I'm going to show you some panels which I really liked, and I hope you like them too, and then we'll move on. Great, so that's it from me this week. Next week we're going to be going on to the final issue of the book. We're going to go on to chapter 6. There we go, I'm going to try and not spoil anything. Chapter 6 next week. Just going to put my bookmark there. And that's it. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, please like the video, share it with anyone that you think will enjoy this and wants to get involved. And don't forget to follow my Instagram page at Scott's Shelf. Great. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.